It's kind of the best thing ever. Lil Nas X debut album Montero. This project, I mean, if anything, the one thing that I could take away from this, Lil Nas is a hit maker. Like, for anybody
Yes.
who
Yup.
thought
Yep.
that Old Town Road was all this guy could do, you're fucking foolish.
Nah.
You are this
Nah.
dude can write a hook with the best of them. Whether it's That's What I Want, Industry Baby, Montero, there are bops all across this album, and it's really just a culmination of him flaunting his star power and his just like burgeoning status as a generational icon over the course
Look.
of this entire project. I mean, it has the moments where it's a little more dark and confrontational, dealing with certain issues that Nas has had to go up against in the spotlight.
I think those moments are part of what gives the album its charm, because you got the hits, but integrated with the hits, you got some of Lil Nas X's most personal moments that he really got to utilize and share on this album.
He does infuse the three genres: pop, rap, hip hop, and R&B throughout this album to showcase that range that he can do. And his voice is actually surprisingly really good on tracks. I was kind of iffy on it. I'm kind of iffy on it when he comes to performing. That's just something he hasn't done much of, and he'll get better when he does it often. But he sounds really fucking good on these songs. I want to get to the title. There's two songs I want to talk about. First, a little bit more. But Montero, the actual, the title track.
Yep.
But this song's been out for a while, along with Industry Baby. So we didn't talk about it a lot in the podcast. But these are like the biggest hits, two of the biggest hits of 2021.
Yes.
But the second verse, this is a nasty nigga. Like,
On what, Montero?
on Montero's second verse. This is a nasty motherfucker. This man says, shoot a child in your mouth while I'm riding. This is a nasty motherfucker. Like I didn't realize he said this until a couple weeks ago. This is a wild motherfucker. But
the gay bars are so fucking hard.
they're fire. They're fire. I don't care what anybody says. They're fire, bro.
The gay
But
bars
like,
are so hard.
yeah, and the reason why I brought that up, because then Dead Right Now comes right after. That's like a total mood shift from like what Montero was and what Dead Right Now is, speaking on his upbringing. I don't want to say insecurities, but just being, not loving himself as much as you probably he clearly does now. Like, he seems like he really enjoyed and really like who he is. But a lot of those insecurities, a lot of those fears he was talking on, I'm like, wow, that was a wild transition to then Industry Baby. I'm like, yo, he gave us the pop, the R&B, and the rap song in like back to back.
Yeah.
And it was just like, all right, I see where you're going. But my favorite song of this album, I think this is going to be everybody. I think this is one of those albums where everybody has a different favorite song.
Yeah.
So my favorite song of this album is Dollar Sign Slime. Don't give a fuck. Once the horns kick in, motherfucker. Oh my god.
Stevenson, I'm gonna be honest. That was my least favorite song on the project.
Are you serious?
Yeah, that was my least favorite song.
Wow.
I did not, and it's mostly because I did not like the beat. The horns, I thought melodically just were annoying, man. Like sonically, like they sounded okay. The velocity of the horns was cool. It was just like I thought the melody of the horns was kind of annoying and repetitive, and just like wasn't fucking with it. I could respect the flows of both Megan and Lil Nas X. But I will say my favorite parts of this album come right after that. And that being said, I think this is like one of the best ways a pop star recently has utilized the B-side of an album. When, you start off with the fucking heavy hitters, get everyone hooked, but then you keep the real fans around for those last few tracks, and that's when you get introspective. And that's when you get Sun Goes Down. That's when you get Tales of Dominica, which I thought was incredible, and that kind of goes back to the country-esque folky roots that like were like tapped into a little bit on Old Town Road, but a much more different end of that spectrum, much more of like the darker like Johnny Cash side of that spectrum of just in terms of influence with those triplet guitar licks, talking about just really introspective shit. My favorite track on this album really was Life After Salem. That's hauntingly beautiful.
Lil Nas X does one thing I wish so many artists was fucking good at. And you can have the good hooks, you can have the good verses, you can have the good beat, But sometimes the little details, like little ad-libs in between, or just giving the song much more texture and make it sound fuller, can really make a song give it more life. When he was doing the dun, 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 with the trumps and following and like matching that melody with his voice, I was like,
It,
yo,
it was extremely creative,
yeah.
which is
And
just
he
gives me more respect for Lil Nas X. You know, he's
and,
just
and
creative as fuck.
And the thing is, he does that throughout this track. Those little things, like, yeah, he got the verses down. Yeah, he got the hooks down. Yeah, he got the flows, the melodies down. No, I don't think he's the best singer, but it's really passable on this album. More than passable, honestly. But like, you can see the traits that make him a star, and the things he doesn't do well. Is not that he's bad at it. It's just that the charisma shines through. The personals of like a personal, he tells a story that shines through. The his sense of humor. Like you see a lot. It's when you hear this album, it does not sound like you're listening to someone through a glass screen, like a TV screen. There's someone right in front of you, making you laugh, making you cry, telling stories about love, about a love life. Overall, a lot of the things on this album is love.
But Lil Nas X is someone that like I could be proud of being like the biggest name, and that one, someone that openly gay and eccentric wouldn't have been welcomed by the public or promoted by those big names because like I mean 10 years ago because it wouldn't be marketable, but now it's something that's so embraced, and he being so popular, naturally so popular, can help it become more embraced. I thought that fucking kicked ass, and he did it.
And not outside the album, the actual impact of the album is going to be pretty big. Like this
But
is leading.
hey man, the social impact is only as impactful as it is because of how fucking good the music is.
Yes.
Like this will be fucking heard because it is good.
Yes.
Not only is he a huge name, but this album is so good, like through and
Yeah.
throughout. And everyone's like, and I really like that it's really subjective piece where everyone's gonna have their favorite songs. Obviously, Industry Baby is the big single off of this one, and that one's still perfectly in the context of the album. Dom, before we got on the show, said he didn't like Scoop, but I mean, I love that.
I did not
one.
like Scoop. I did not like Scoop.
Okay,
I
didn't like Scoop, but we were talking about this a little bit earlier. That's the TikTok song. Most pop albums now, when you're getting in the studio and you're organizing that track list, producers are going to sit there and say, okay, what's the one where you can grab the soundbite and it can go viral on TikTok? Like I feel like that's kind of just an essential track on any mainstream pop project going forward.
That's the deal right now.
I think it was the awareness of Lil Nas X, because I think he's so fucking smart in terms of the business acumen of music and just as a musician, where to go to that next level, you do need singles to showcase more of who you are. And all we know until now was Nas X, the personality, the internet personality. Right here, we got actual intimate stories of his upbringing, of his feelings, of the emotions he was going through to get to this point. That makes him much more. That makes him resonate with the both casual listeners and his core fans even more. And that step get to the same point you was making. Once you get to that B side, now you feel like you know him better. So now that parasocial relationship you have with him is really going to be like even much more like, yo, you're speaking to me. Like I completely understand you, because maybe it wasn't the same exact experiences. Like I'm not a pop star, but I'm trying to be a writer. I'm trying to be an accountant. I'm trying to do this and that. And I myself am gay or transgender or anything else on that spectrum. And you're telling a lot of stories that I don't hear a lot that I'm going through. Like that's big. That makes that relationship with his fans and him and vice versa. That relationship works so much better now, where it's going to propel him to the top. This is the album he's going to eat off for 3-4 years, maybe longer.
To me, I just think Lil Nas's existence is just so essential to society, because he's not like, none of these tracks are like pushing any musical boundaries, but they all sound really good. But there's nothing here where you're like, okay, I've never really heard something like this. But where Lil Nas X truly just makes me a fan far and above, because of the era that he comes up in, he's had to fucking deal with internet haters and shit his entire career, and long before anybody had ever heard of him. And he's so well equipped to deal with trolls and internet hate that he just shrugs that shit off and he just continues to be himself to the point where he literally makes memes about like, oh look, I'm going to jail because I put blood in the Satan shoes. So,
Yo,
yeah.
the trailer where he did the baby dance.
Yes. and to have to literally have full photo shoots and album rollout videos where you are pregnant with your debut album, the out of the box thinking that he has, and the ability to, when people who lean conservative or on Fox News talk about how, oh, you listen to Lil Nas X, he's gonna make your kids gay, to further lean into those narratives that he's not for the kids in this like joking manner, while like it's one of those if you know you know type things. Like Lil Nas X knows I can do this shit, and if you know me and you know my message, then you know my truth. But if you're one of these Fox News pundits who sits there and just looks at these visual cues I'm giving, you're going to get very frustrated and never bother to know who I am. And his his willingness to alienate those two fan bases, I love him as a superstar. I have, like Aiden said, I have no issue with him being the biggest fucking person in the music industry.
It's like I'm so happy to have pride in the biggest names right now.
Yes.
Like, I'm so relieved.
I work with kids. When I tell you, when you ask them who they want to listen to, Lil Nas X, Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish.
Mm-hmm. Just to kind of tie this whole conversation back together with what Stevenson had first mentioned, Lil Nas is just, he's a weird dude. So one point that I want to make is, please, Lil Boozy, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about Lil Nas being gay. Quit with this narrative so we can just focus on the fact that he's just a regular weirdo. Because there's a lot of really weird shit that he does that's just funny. And I'd like to focus on that instead of being concerned that he's going to make me gay.
Look, bro. This man's has some of the best music videos out right now.
Yes.
This man's giving out some of the, I don't think it's the best performances, but when it comes to viral moments of his live performances, he's giving those out. This man is living his best life, kissing on handsome men everywhere
whenever he wants. Again, if you look at the broader sociological impacts of something like this, it's obviously it's not gonna make kids gay, but it's gonna make young LGBTQ kids more comfortable coming forward with these feelings.
Exactly. And be so much more authentic with themselves and to the world. If the biggest thing you have to complain about Lil Nas X is he's kissing handsome men in every video and state performance he does, life should be perfect then. I don't know what else. It should be perfect. It really should. Because I don't care. Personally, I don't give a fuck. Like, the music's good, the videos are fire. Like, who gives a fuck he's making out with some guy? Like, who cares? Like, that's not the biggest thing you got to complain about. He doing all right. That's all, man. Like, it really...
That's facts. Welcome to the Traklife YouTube channel. We are the New Music Release Club. I am Dom.
I'm Aiden.
And I'm Stevenson. Here's the links at the bottom of the YouTube page. Subscribe and check out more content from the Music Release Club.
Yeah, check out our album reviews. We also got live sessions, raw stream, all that good stuff right here on the Traklife YouTube page.